Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it. I remember the sound more than the moment, the slow crunch of tires on gravel, the slush of rain sliding off the hood, then silence, the kind that fills your ears like pressure before a storm. I sat in my wheelchair on the side of an empty country road, wrapped in a thin coat that wasn't mine, legs useless, heart hammering. The car door slammed shut behind me. "Mom," I whispered, blinking through the rain. She didn't look at me. She stood in the headlights, her silhouette sharp against the glare. My father stepped around her and dropped a small backpack onto my lap. It sagged with the weight of something soft, probably the blanket from my bed. "You'll be okay here for a while," he muttered. "Some and I'll drive by." "I don't understand," I stammered. "Where are we going?" "We're not," Mom said sharply, still not meeting my eyes. "We can't do this anymore, Molly, we can't afford it. Your care, your treatments, it's been draining us. Draining, like I was a leaking faucet they never bothered to fix." I stared at them, my hand shook against the cold metal of my chair's arms. "You're leaving me?" Her voice cracked then, just slightly. "We thought this was kinder. We didn't want you to suffer anymore, dragging on like this. We've tried. You're not even calling an ambulance," I whispered. Dad opened the car door again. "We left food in the bag. Someone will find you soon." The headlights swung as the car turned. For 1 second, Mom looked back, just a flicker, but no tears, no guilt. Then they were gone. I sat there on the edge of nowhere in a rain-soaked coat, heart strangled by betrayal, my breath clouded in front of me, my teeth began to chatter. I told myself not to cry, not to fall apart. If I broke down now, I might not make it through the night. Then footsteps, soft, cautious, but steady. I froze. My pulse kicked up as a flashlight beam cut through the fog, stopping right on me. "God, Molly," the voice was familiar. I blinked. The figure stepped forward, hoodie soaked, beard scruffy, eyes wide with horror. "Lincoln," I croaked. He rushed toward me. "You're freezing." He dropped to his knees and threw his jacket around my shoulders. It smelled like smoke and pine. His hands gripped mine, rough, warm. "I followed them," he said, his voice tight with fury. "I knew something was off. I saw them drive out with you, and when they left without turning around, I knew." My throat tightened. "I thought you were gone. For years you left." "I didn't leave you," he whispered. "I left them." I swallowed hard, gripping his wrist. "I think they wanted me to die." "I think so too," he said bitterly, "but they didn't count on me coming back." He lifted me gently from the chair like I weighed nothing. I leaned against his chest, weak and soaked, but suddenly not alone. The wheels crunched over pine needles as Lincoln pushed me up the narrow trail. The storm had passed, but the damp clung to everything, my clothes, my skin, my thoughts. We said little on the drive. I was still numb, and Lincoln was clenched in silence, knuckles white on the steering wheel. The cabin sat like a secret in the woods, wrapped in creeping ivy and silence. One window glowed faintly with golden light. "You live here?" I asked hoarsely as he lifted me from the van. "For now," he said. "Off-grid, no visitors, no trouble." Inside, the air smelled of cedar wood and smoke. A fire flickered in the stone hearth. Blankets lay folded on a worn leather sofa. My chair scraped over the wooden floor as Lincoln gently lowered me into it. "I'll warm some soup," he said. I couldn't stop staring at him, older, harder eyes shadowed with a life I'd never known. "Why did you leave?" I asked finally. He stirred the pot on the stove without turning. "Dad and I fought the night I walked out. He told me I was a mistake. I punched a hole through the kitchen wall and never went back." He turned, ladle in hand. "But I couldn't stop thinking about you." My eyes burned. "They told me you were dead." His jaw tightened. "Not dead, just forgotten." The soup tasted like memory, chicken, carrots, time. As I ate, warmth returned to my limbs, and with it, pain, not physical, emotional. Every word from that roadside still echoed in my head. "They left me," I said, like I was garbage. Lincoln knelt beside me. "No," he said firmly, "they left because they're cowards, but I was watching. I have proof. Dash cam, ATM logs, I followed their every move." I stared at him. "Why?" He took a breath. "Because I knew one day they'd try something, and I wasn't going to let them win." There was a pause, then softer, he added, "I couldn't protect you when we were kids, but I will now." I nodded, heart thudding. For the first time in years, I felt something sharp cut through the haze, hope. 3 weeks passed in a blur of pine-scented air and quiet determination. My arms ached from the daily stretches Janet guided me through, but I welcomed the pain. It meant I was still here, still fighting. Janet wasn't just a physical therapist. She was a storm wrapped in warmth, a former combat medic turned trauma specialist. She had eyes that missed nothing and a voice that could coax strength from the broken. Lincoln had found her through a veteran friend, and from the moment she entered the cabin, she moved like someone who knew pain, how to carry it, and how to teach others to let it go. In her quiet, firm way, Janet pushed me again. "Molly, just one more step. Don't give your past the last word." Janet arrived one morning with a folder in her hand. "Your brother gave me this," she said. "It was your mother's." She handed it to me, a weathered leather-bound journal. My fingers trembled as I opened it. The first pages were innocent, baby milestones, scribbled notes of hope. Then things darkened. Medical jargon appeared: doses, trials, approvals, contracts. I skimmed until one phrase froze me: signed agreement with Helix or a medical. Early trial begins age 3. I blinked, my breath catching. They signed me into a trial without telling me. Janet leaned in, and without proper consent, this journal might be the key. I flipped to a taped-in photo of me as a toddler, hooked to IVs, my smile dim. "They let them experiment on me," I whispered. Lincoln appeared in the doorway. "We've got records, signatures, financial deposits from Helixora to Dad's account right after each phase." I looked up at him, horror and fury blooming. "They didn't just abandon me, they sold me." He nodded grimly. "But now we expose it, all of it." I clutched the journal to my chest. My parents hadn't just failed me, they'd fed me to wolves in lab coats. And now I was going to make them answer for it. The courtroom smelled like old paper and tension. I sat in my wheelchair, gripping the journal so tightly the leather crept. My palms were slick with sweat, but my voice, when I spoke, was steady. "My name is Molly Nichols," I began, voice clear. "I was 3 years old. I didn't consent to pain, to injections, to seizures. My parents did. For money, they sold me for medical experiments." Gasps rippled through the gallery. Elixir's lead attorney shifted uncomfortably. The screen behind me flashed evidence: the signed contract, dates, doses, financial deposits. Janet and Lincoln sat in the front row, silent pillars of strength. My condition didn't worsen naturally, it was prolonged, engineered. I continued. "The journal proves it, so do the bank statements. They didn't just abandon me, they profited off me, and Helix helped them." The judge's brows furrowed. The Helixora CEO, a woman in her 60s with cold, lacquered composure, avoided my eyes. Lincoln later leaned close in the hallway. "We're making noise. Reporters want your story. Stocks already plummeting." I gave a tired smile. "Good, let them lose everything like I did." That night, the news broke wide. Teen survivor exposes biotech giant in shocking testimony. The footage of my speech played on every major network. The court ordered an immediate investigation. Helix's clinical trials were suspended. My parents, cornered by evidence and public outrage, issued a desperate statement full of excuses. "I hope they choke on their own words," I muttered, tossing the paper aside. Days later, the verdict came. Helixora Medical CEO and 2 senior researchers were found guilty of unethical human experimentation, falsification of consent records, and conspiracy to commit fraud. They received 28 years in federal prison, with assets seized to compensate affected victims. My parents, Harriet and Daniel Nichols, were convicted of felony child endangerment, medical neglect, and contract fraud. Despite their desperate pleas and shifting blame, the judge delivered brutal clarity: 12 years each without parole. I watched them being led away in silence, not out of hatred, but because there was nothing left to say. Outside the courthouse, a sea of reporters and supporters waited. I looked into the flashing lights and didn't flinch. "We're not broken," I said into the microphones. "We were just unheard until now." The wind whispered through the pines, brushing against the cabin like a memory. I sat wrapped in a quilt on the wooden porch. The night sky stretched wide above me, ink black and scattered with stars. Lincoln handed me a mug of chamomile tea and settled beside me, silent for a moment. "There's something for you," he said softly, slipping a worn envelope into my lap. The handwriting stopped my breath. "Mom." It was a letter from Mom in prison. I opened it slowly. Her words were clumsy, written in uneven lines. Molly, I can't undo what I did, but I want you to know I see you now. I see your strength. It's something you never got from me. You were always better than us. I swallowed hard but didn't cry. I was done with tears. I don't hate her, I said at last. I think I just stopped needing her. Lincoln nodded. That's healing, Molly. That's you becoming more than what they tried to make you. Inside, the fire crackled where Janet was reviewing applications for the foundation, which we established using funds received as compensation from Helix Aura Medical. Survivors were reaching out, girls and boys just like me, wounded but alive, wanting more. I never thought I'd be anything more than a burden, I said quietly. Lincoln smiled. You were never a burden, you were the reason I came back. I leaned into him, the stars above glittering like promises. Thank you for saving me. His voice was rough. No, Molly, you saved yourself, I just made sure the world saw it. A shooting star streaked overhead. I made no wish. I didn't need one because I was home now, not just in this cabin, not just with them, but inside myself, whole, unbroken. Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.